We are live now.
Hello and a very good evening to the Physical, Mental and Emotional Workshop series organized by MNET. MNET has put together a series of workshops for teachers and educators by leading experts in the field as part of ELT to explore some of the core competencies using innovative tools and techniques. This series of workshops pertains to the well-being of the teachers. Teaching can be emotionally taxing job that throws many different challenges. The change has come with new challenges. The situation today is more challenging and stressful. As a teacher, we are often focused on the physical, emotional, mental well-being of the students and ourselves. Do we really care about our own self? But self-care includes taking care of our mental, physical, and emotional health and well-being for a perfect balance in life. Well-being is the experience of health, happiness, and prosperity. Self-care begins with self-awareness. Let's regenerate, reconnect, recognize ourselves, and resolve with MNET. Give time for yourself. My warm welcome to the speaker of the day of the first day of the series, Commander Girish Konkar, and all the educators who have gathered from different parts of India and different corners of the world. Your participation ignites and motivates us to push for better planning. And what binds us is a passion, a common passion to be effective teachers, educators, and research scholars who constantly try to upgrade themselves as teachers, language teachers. And moreover, it's great to have a fraternity of teachers in India and abroad who are always ready to collaborate and share their ideas, experiences, knowledge, and best expertise to help build this community of practice. I thank the speaker, Commander Girish Konkar, sir, who agreed to take this workshop. So without wasting much time, let me begin the session. Today's session is on de-stress from stress. Commander Girish Konkar, sir, has over 22 years of experience as a submariner and was the commanding officer of Indian Naval Submarine Sankush. Since last 16 years, sir has been a leadership and transformation catalyst. He's associated with a number of Fortune 500 companies, helping them overcome various professional and personal leadership challenges. He has also authored a book, It's Not a Secret, on transformational leadership and life mastery. He conducts a widely acclaimed program called the Unstoppable You on business leadership and life mastery. Adventure is his passion, and his credo is be the master of your life and not its slave. Now, the thing is the topic that he's going to take is de-stress from stress. The situation today is probably the most challenging and stressful the world has ever witnessed. Yet, there are those who still have a smile on their face. What is it that a similar situation comes? Some people get stressed out, overwhelmed, or depressed, while some maintain their smile, laugh, and a zest for life. So sir is going to talk about the cause of stress, the effect of stress on the body, mind, and emotion, and how to avoid, handle stress, and lead a fulfilling life. We welcome you, sir, once again, and with the experience that you have, I'm sure that we will benefit today. So once again, welcome, sir, and I request you to take over.
Okay, right. So thank you, madam. Thank you for inviting me on this forum. It's indeed a great pleasure to interact with so many teachers that are there. And yes, I think for everyone, it's been a stressful year. And I suppose teachers are even more highly stressed because your entire method of teaching, your mode of communication with the students has undergone a topsy-turvy completely. And some people adapt to that very easily. Some people find it very, very challenging. Now imagine a person like me who in his 60s has to adopt to this new technology of, I've been a trainer last 16 years in the field of leadership development, used to conducting sessions in a face-to-face manner, outbound somewhere in a resort or in a training, typical classical trainings in a classroom, etc. And now today I'm conducting it over a Zoom session where I cannot even see who the participants are. So that itself can be very stressful for many people. Now, unless we adapt to it, it's a very, very challenging. And hats off to you all who have probably adapted to this new innovative methods of teaching, and you're conducting maybe online classes and so many innovative stuff that you people are doing. How do you keep your students engaged? You cannot see the students, you can't see the participants. Are they attentive? Are they not attentive? I mean, hats off to you all. Wonderful, a great job that you're doing. And my best wishes to everybody. Let's hope this COVID thing disappears shortly and you can get back to your normal physical, because yes, that is the better way of teaching. This is, I hope it's just a stopgap arrangement that we are going through till, so maybe 1 year is written off in this COVID thing, but let's hope by the next academic session, which should start in next year, things are back normal. Okay, so let me get back to the topic now. So thank you once again, Renu ma'am, for introducing me and giving me this opportunity to kick off this series that we are having for the next couple of days. So a few questions before we start, just to see how many of you agree with this. So how many of you would agree that modern life itself is indeed stressful? So if you agree, just quickly type a yes in the chat box. And if you do not agree, this type of no. So the question is, how many of you agree that modern life is stressful? So type a yes or a no. Yeah, so we're getting some responses saying yes, 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 yes. Okay. Any more else? Somebody else, please. Just in your chat box, just type in yes or a no. Okay, wonderful. Okay, good. So everybody is seeming to say yes. Okay, so second question. The second question also, please respond to it with a yes or a no. And how many of you would agree that stress can have a negative impact on sleep, productivity, relationships, your health, etc.? So if you agree that stress can have a negative impact, just type in a yes. And if you have a different of opinion, you can also just say either a no or a question mark. You say maybe, I don't know. Sometimes, okay, good. So most of them are saying yes. Thank you. Yeah, it depends. Yes, it depends. Agreed. Okay, and the last question, the third one, is that if you could somehow reduce the stress, then firstly your happiness would be more, and the negative impact will convert into a more positive impact. You'll get better sleep. Your productivity is going to be better. Your relationships are going to be better. Your health is going to be better. So if you reduce your stress, overall everything changes for the better. Would you agree with that? Just type in yes or no. Okay, great. I think everybody seems to agree with that. Absolutely good, wonderful. So great, thank you. So what we are going to do now is I will take you through this about 45 minutes or so. It's 10 past 5. So for about 45 minutes, I'll give you an overview of what is my impressions, what are my lessons that I've learned about what is stress itself, what is the causes of stress, and more importantly, what can you do to train the brain to avoid stress? That is important because, like I said, if the stress is less, so many other things will be much more. Your happiness quotient will be much more, etc. Right? Now, I learned many of these things. I was a submariner. I commanded a submarine called Shankush. Now, in a submarine, you're 40 people, you're underwater in a steel cylinder. There is no day, there is no night, and you are like that in a situation like that for prolonged duration of time, ranging from 20 days, 30 days to 55 days, 60 days. And that's a pretty long time to be underwater. In any and stress can happen at any moment of time. I mean, being in that situation itself is very stressful. So how do you handle a stress? And for us, the, the biggest threat used to be either a fire inside a submarine or a flooding inside a submarine, and apart from many other emergencies that one can go through. So how do you maintain your cool and calm in such demanding circumstances? So that's where I learned most of these things that I'll be sharing with you guys. So that is going to be the format for the next couple of minutes. So now one little bit of statistics that is there, and these statistics from the World Health Organization. In 2017, their report on the World Health Organization says that in India, you have 2 lakh people who committed suicide. That means 200,000 people committed suicide because they were absolutely unable to handle the level of stress that they were in. That level had been there. Another 5.6 crore people suffered from something called as depression. Now, depression is also an extreme form of stress. It is beyond, again, somebody cannot control, cannot handle the situation that that person is in, and it goes into depression. There are various things that happen during depression. I'll not go into what depression is and how it creates. That could be a session, another session in itself, but I'm sure all of you know what depression is. And people go into depression because of stress. Even one stage lower. So if suicide is extreme form of stress that people can't simply handle the stress, one level below that is the what is called as depression. A level below that is called as anxiety disorder. Now even this is pretty serious, and this is again a severe form of stress. So if one could be at level 10, another is at 9, another one would be at 8. That is anxiety disorder, and that's 4 crore people. That's again a huge number, which means almost close to about 10 crore people, 11 crore people. This is 2017 statistics. So now in 2020, it could be, that means 10% of India's population is at a very dangerous level of stress. You and me could be anywhere. Hopefully none of us are in the level of 8, 9, 10, but we are anywhere between 1 and 7. Now even that, why should we be in 1 and 7? We should be at a 0 level of stress. That should be our ultimate aim. And I should never have stress. So if at the end of this talk that we are having, if I'm able to give you some tips and tricks of what can you do to ensure you're as close to 0 to having stress in your body, I suppose that would be a time well spent. So let's dive into that, and I will do my best to give you that thing. So what is stress? Now, very simplistically, stress is nothing else but a state of mental or emotional strain that or tension that results in the body from adverse or demanding circumstances. That means the external circumstances are so demanding, they are so difficult that I give an emotional state that I give is a negative emotional state. And now various emotional states are there. We are human beings. So you have a physical body, you have a mental body, and you have an emotional body. And in the emotional body that we have got, there are various emotions. There are literally 50, 60 emotional states that we all can be under at various times. You can be happy, you can be, the 4 most basic ones are happiness, sadness, anger, and fear. And a combination of all these 4 in various methods and various levels will lead to multiple 20, 30, 40 other emotional states. Now, happiness is a state where you have no stress. You are absolutely happy-go-lucky. Kitna bhi barish ho, kitna bhi dhoop ho, kitna bhi thand ho, you have no difference. You are saying, okay, life is great. Maza aa raha hai zindagi ka. That's a state that I'm sure we would all like to be in. 24/7, we must be happy. Absence of happiness will lead to sadness. So we should rarely become sad. Yeah, if the situation demands that one should be sad, yes, one should be sad, otherwise you should be sad. Anger, there are again 2 different types of angers. One anger is which says that, okay, choduga nahi, karke dikhaunga. Now, when you have that anger and happiness, these 2 combination will lead to what is called as passion, which says, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do it, come what may. Kitna bhi barish ho, thand ho, dhoop ho, I'm going to sustain it. I'm going to do it. It's tough, but I'll do it. And that's something that we want. But the negative anger, the shouting anger, the temper tantrums, the throwing of things, or even having palpitation, heart rate racing high. That we definitely don't want. And the fourth emotion, which I talked about just now, is fear. Now, fear is again a very dangerous emotion. See, fear in times of crisis might propel you into massive action. But if you're every day living in a fear, oh my God, what's going to happen? How will I do this? What will happen, etc., you're finished. So, like I said, happiness, I must have 24/7. Sadness, no, rarely. Anger, the good anger part, which says I'm not going to give up. Yes, that you must have, because that gives you the drive, that gives you the passion, that gives you the go-getter attitude. The negative part of anger, saying temper tantrums, throwing, shouting around, that's gali galoch. You don't want that. Fear, we should not have. That's dangerous. The thing is, how do we generate these emotions? There are various methods of generating these emotions. I'll not go into that again right now. That's again a different topic by itself. But all these negative ones will lead to stress. So what is, in simplistic term, stress is nothing else but an involuntary physical or a psychological reaction to a stressor. Something happens outside. How do I instantly react to that, to the trigger? Like, let's say today we have COVID. Now, let's say I myself might get COVID today, or my neighbor or somebody in the house gets COVID. How do I react to that? Somebody in my clothes or even outside. It's a trigger. The COVID is a trigger. How do I react to that becomes my stress trigger. So this, you might have heard of something called as a fight or a flight response. That's my attitude. That means it's an instant reaction. What is attitude? It's an instant reaction to an external stimulus. The trigger which happens outside, how do I instantly react to it? Another example is of anger, the shouting anger, the gali galoch anger. Something happens outside that should not happen, which I feel this is not correct. And how do I instantly react to that? Is by throwing a tantrum, throwing whatever, right? Now, is that a socha samjha hua thing? And now I must get angry. I must shout at the person or the situation, and I must now throw a temper. No, it just happens. So it's instantaneous, right? So these two are the things that now, so that is definitely, it's a trigger outside. How do I respond, react to that trigger is the main cause of tension, because this trigger, as I'll explain to you, creates certain emotional changes, certain triggers, which are chemical changes. Now, our body is, as you all know, a chemical body and an energy body. So we have a lot of chemicals. The chemicals are there. You might have heard of hormones. There are 23 hormones in the body, and there are proteins, and there are 75,000 proteins, or could be more. Now, all these are basically nothing else but chemicals. So it's a combination of various chemicals, which the 75,000 proteins combination will lead to 23 hormones, right? So we have various hormones. And you might have heard of hormones like adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, endorphin, oxytocin, melatonin, etc. Right? So these are released in the body, and they result in certain emotional state that we come to, and I'll come to that later. So the attitude that is there, that is an instant reaction to an external stimulus. Now, how does that happen? You see, when we were born, let's say not we were born, I would say, but what to say? The human being came into existence about 50,000 years ago, somewhere around that time, maybe, right? Our whole entire biology, our entire human design was made to either hunt for the prey, or we would have become prey of maybe a tiger or whatever that animal there that would eat me up. So I had to design a system, or God or whoever it is designed a system which had to be very quick to respond to either catch the deer or whatever the prey is before it runs away, or either go hungry, or ensure I don't become a prey. So it had to be very fast. And this became what is called as the sympathetic nervous system. What is the sympathetic nervous system? Okay, so I'm sure we would have heard of the brain, and in the brain we have two types of minds. One is the conscious mind, the conscious brain, and the second one is the subconscious brain. Now, which is more powerful? The subconscious brain. How much more powerful? 95%. Only 5% we all live consciously. 95% we all live subconsciously. Now, what does that mean? What is the subconscious meaning? An instant reaction to an external attitude. Something happens outside. How do I instantly react to it without thinking? Okay, That's a subconscious mind reacting. Now, how does this work? I'm going to simplify it. So please excuse me if I remove all the scientific jargon from it. I'm going to make it as laymanish as possible in very simple terms. If something is not understood, just quickly put in the chat box saying, okay, whether you'd like me to explain something more, and I will definitely do that. So what happens is, now we input information through the five senses, right? There is the eyesight, there is the hearing, there is the smell, there is the taste, and there is a touch. There is the kinesthetic body. Now, the brain can only input information through these five methods, through the five senses. Now, what does the brain do? The moment the brain gets information which is coming constantly from our surroundings, and you're getting something like more than a couple of million bits of information is coming into your brain at every moment of time. Yes, more than a million. Out of these, a couple of the ones are the ones which are filtered in, and they are sent into the brain to, first it goes to what is called as the prehistoric brain, or what is called a subconscious brain, the amygdala, the reptilian brain, the old brain, right? It goes to the hippocampus. So one part has gone there, and there it does only one job. What the brain does, it checks this input which I am getting. Does it have a previous reference? Has this event, whatever I'm getting the input, has it happened before? And then it checks what did I do at that time that I'm alive still. And therefore, let's say, give an example, let's say of a dog. If somebody is afraid of a dog, in comes a dog in front of you, the input goes to the brain, oh my God, the dog is there. It does say, okay, is there a dog? A dog is bad, a dog is dangerous, I'm afraid of dog. What do I do when a dog comes? Either I run or fight the dog. And this takes 50 milliseconds. So it's that fast. On the other hand, the same information, and this 50 milliseconds, the brain has already now given instructions to the body parts to do what it has to do to stay alive. Right? Now, all this was designed when the tiger was the main thing. Now, the tiger has got replaced by a dog, right? Because there are no more tigers in the open field. But 10,000 years ago, they're still there. Slowly, over a period of time, the conscious brain of ours evolved. Now, the conscious brain is the thinking brain, is the new brain. It's called as, this area is called as the prefrontal cortex. It's a thinking brain. It is the analytical brain. It can do various actions of if, but, and, why not, what if, what is there any other option? Can I look at it from this direction, from top, from bottom? It can do all that. That's a conscious brain. So to do all that, it takes about 250 milliseconds. So it's 5 times slower. And then it says, okay, I should do this. But even before it has given any instructions to the body to do this, the subconscious brain, which took 50 milliseconds to get saying dog is dangerous, has taken the action and says, do this. And that leads to majorly stress. And we'll see what that stress is all about. Okay, so what all causes stress? Let's see that trigger which is there. The first trigger is expectations. So if anybody has any expectations of what should happen, and you think that might not happen, that will lead to stress, because now you're expecting something to happen. The brain has said this might not happen, and that's not matching with what my subconscious mind wants. That will lead to stress, and we'll see what that is again. Second thing that leads to stress is when expectations are not met. Again, that causes stress. So every uncertainty. So you got, let's say, a time schedule, you got a time plan with you saying, okay, this is what I want to do. And let's just give an example let's say you are conducting, I'm sure you're conducting classes on Microsoft Teams or Zoom or Cisco, WebEx, etc. And somebody's mic is left on, and that leads to some irritating sounds. Will you get stressed? Yes, most of us have a right to get stressed. If somebody's mic is left on, that's getting so much irritation, because that's not your expectation. You want all the mics to be switched off, and therefore it should be a silent and you are being heard. But now something else has happened. And like this, there could be hundreds of things that can go wrong where your expectation not being met. That will lead to stress. So two things: expectations, expecting not being met. Third thing that leads to tremendous amount of stress is fears. Now, fears are very, very, very dangerous. Like I mentioned, the fear of a dog. And fears can be multiple. Somebody might be having a fear of public speaking. which I don't think any teacher will have. But there are many people out there who have a big fear of public speaking. Maybe as a first-time teacher, when you became a teacher, the first time to go in front of some students and give a talk, your heart would have been duck, 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 duck. Will I remember what I have to say? Will I have a structured flow? There are many things on your mind that led to stress. Some amount of stress was there. Somebody might be afraid of darkness. Somebody might be afraid of driving in crowded streets, and Mumbai is very crowded. Every city in India is crowded, so you have a fear of driving. Somebody might be having a fear of water. Somebody might have a fear of drowning. Somebody might have a fear of heights. Somebody might have fear of risk taking. Somebody might have fear of rejection. Somebody might be having a fear of falling in love. Somebody might have a fear of falling out of love. And there are multiple fears. Now, every fear will create huge stress. And another fourth thing that causes a lot of stress is what is called as limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are those negative programs which are there in our background of our mind, in the subconscious mind, which says, Girish, you cannot do this. It is not, तेरे बस की बात नहीं है. तू ये नहीं कर पाएगा. तुम गधा हो. तुम useless हो. तेरे से नहीं हो पाएगा. You cannot give a good talk. You cannot give a good speech. You are useless. Now, this is a subconscious negative the program that is running in my back of my mind, and that will cause severe stress in my body. We will not be able to address today because of the time constraint, the fear and the limiting beliefs aspects of it. But to definitely give you at least an overview about things, because fears is a little bit more complicated to remove. But just for your sense, I think every fear can be removed over a period of time. Right? So we'll just do that. So what are the stress triggers now? Now your goals and targets can be stress triggers. As a teacher, you have to deliver a talk every day, a session every day. You have to prepare for it, and that can create stress because you've been so far used to a conventional classroom environment. Now it has got to be done on a digital platform environment. You got a whole lot of preparations to be done. There is a time constraint. There are so many things to be do. There's a deadline. It has to start tomorrow morning. 0900 is going to be your session. That can cause stress. So every milestones that have to be achieved can cause stress. There could be stress from the family environment. Typically, husband, wife, spouse, you could have stressful situations. The husband expects something, the wife expects something, and if both their expectations don't match, that can lead to severe stress. So relationships can be stressful. So every professional and also personal field, the triggers are multiple. And for some people, even going on a holiday can be stressful. I mean, holiday is supposed to be a beautiful time where you go and chill out. But for some people, planning a holiday can be very stressful. Before the journey, will the cab arrive on time? Will the flight take off on time? Will the train be on time? What if the train is delayed? Have I taken everything required for the journey? Have I taken water? Have I taken food? Is food good en route? Is food not good en route? There's so many things going on in your mind. During the journey, that can be stressful. When you reach the destination, is the hotel as per your expectation? Is the food as per your expectation? Is the travel there as per your expectation? Everything, oh, the list can be long. Then you can have daily triggers, weekly triggers, monthly triggers, and every time you go out of your comfort zone, that will lead to stress. And let us see what this stress is all about. So like I said, again, just quick recap, one-line recap. Stress is caused as your instant reaction to an external trigger. Something happens outside, what do you instantly give? Conscious mind, subconscious mind. Stress is caused by the subconscious mind majorly. Subconscious mind is very powerful. How powerful? 95% of the time. So we live subconsciously. That leads to stress. Now, what are these stress triggers? How does this result in stress? Like I mentioned, we are a chemical body and energy body. So there are various chemicals in the body, hormones, proteins. Some of them are the good hormones. Which are the good hormones? There is adrenaline, which is called as an action hormone. So to do anything, you need adrenaline in your body. If adrenaline is pumping, you are at you are going to be a very bubbly and kuch karna hai, and you'll be doing activity. That's adrenaline rush you have. Dopamine, very important hormone. Dopamine is called as a reward chemical. So combination of dopamine, adrenaline, fantastic. You'll be in a great zone. A third important, very important hormone is called serotonin. Now, serotonin is called as the happiness chemical. Yeah, the word is the happiness chemical. That means if you have serotonin in your body, you'll be happy. If you don't have serotonin, you'll be sad. It is as simple as that. You have serotonin, you're happy. No serotonin, you're sad. Extreme lack of serotonin, depression. A combination of these three, adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, leads to passion, which is chhodega nahi, karke dikhayega. They are always happy-go-lucky. They're always full of bubble, josh. Could be karne liye taiyar hai. That's passion for whatever they want to do, right? You need these three hormones. Then other hormones there, which is oxytocin. Okay, it's the love hormone. So you like something, you love something, you need oxytocin. There is endorphin. Endorphins are the ones which give you stamina. That chhodega nahi, karke dikhayega. So despite the pain, despite, like I said, kitna bhi barish ho, thand ho, dhoop ho, you will be saying chhodega nahi. For that, you need also need endorphin. Then there's melatonin for sleep, etc. So these are all the good hormones. Unfortunately, or rather how the rest of the body is designed, there are a couple of hormones which are not so good, which they have, of course, you need them. It's not that they're not absolutely good, but they are very bad. And one of them is called cortisol. Cortisol is so bad that it is called as public health enemy number one. That's so bad cortisol is. And the other one is norepinephrine. So these two, it creates havoc in our body. And so we must do whatever it needs to be done to ensure the positive hormones are constantly secreted in the body. These two negative hormones, that is cortisol and norepinephrine, must not be secreted in the body. And let us see why these things are harmful. So I'm going to try and now, let's see if I can share my screen. Yeah, can you see the slideshow?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah. So let's see now why this hormones, the cortisol and norepinephrine. Now, these are some of the things in daily life. You might have a target which comes in front of you, and this target is nothing new to you. In school, it could be, you got to give question papers, you got to conduct exams, you got to correct the exam papers, you got to keep the children well behaved, you got to educate the children, you got to convince the children to keep quiet and listen to you. There's so many targets in front of you. Or like I said, it could be driving, or it could be a simple thing like a dog, because I'm sure some of you at least here there's some people who would be afraid of dogs. There will be some people who love dogs, and for them dog is, oh, such a lovely dog, kuchi kuchi kuchi, and you will want to play with the dog. And some will say, no, kutte ko pehle baandh ke rakho, tabhi ghar pe aunga main. So you could have totally diametrically extreme reactions to the same dog. So situation is the same, but reactions can be two extremes in situation, right? So now if you get any of these, and if these are things, what the brain does instantly, like I said, moment a dog comes into the picture or the target is given to you, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in. 50 milliseconds, does a check, has a dog come in my mind before, the target come before, targets are dangerous, targets are bad. That means deadlines, that means I have to perform by level best, I have to get these children to quieten down, I have to get them to study, otherwise the parents will come to me and ask me why I'm not studying properly. There will be 100 things with the things, right? Instantly, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in, fight, flight or freeze response. Now, what does it do? Instantly, moment this dog comes in the picture or whatever that's the stressful situation occurs, adrenaline is released in this much, okay, jiffy. At the same time, cortisol and norepinephrine is released by the body, and it's carried to the various organs of the body. Now, what does this do? The first thing it does is, now the input has come in. I'm using example of a dog right now, or another example you could use relate to is probably lizards and cockroaches or rats. Okay, so these are extreme examples which I'm giving so that you understand what exactly happens at every time, any situation which you don't like. Okay, the input comes in saying dog is bad, the rat is bad, the cockroach is bad, right? It's 50 milliseconds says, okay, the brain says, I need to tackle this situation. What do I do? Do I run? Do I fight, etc.? But to do this, the brain requires blood. The body requires a massive amount of blood. More importantly, everything requires oxygen. Now, in our body, we have 100 trillion cells. That is 1 plus 18 zeros. That means cells are there in the body. Now, every cell requires oxygen to function. The brain says, okay, these cells require massive amount of oxygen. Now, the brain itself, which is only about 2.5 kilograms in weight. Now, compared to my body weight, which could be 70 to 80 kilograms, now 2.5 kilograms is minuscule. But this 2.5 kilograms requires 20% of the oxygen. So the brain now wants oxygen. Where does it get the oxygen from? The blood supply. Therefore, the cortisol is sent instantly to the heart saying, beat faster. I want you to beat faster. I want oxygen. I want blood. So the heart starts to beat faster. It beats harder. The blood pressure rises. The blood is pumped in massive doses to the brain and to the muscles. It is not a small dose. It is a massive dose that brain gives, that the heart gives. That's what from zero, if the normal heartbeat is 72, you'll find your heartbeat rises to 150, 160, 170, 200 in like this. It just zooms. That's dangerous. At the same time, where can the blood get the oxygen from? Only the lungs. And therefore the lungs, the cortisol gives again, it's carried to the lungs, and the lungs, you start doing fast and shallow breathing. And the lungs literally gasp for air. You are desperate for oxygen. Now stomach, the brain says, hey, I am more worried about surviving this thing that is there, this dog or the driving or the target in front of me or the lizard. I am not interested in digesting the food I've eaten. So the brain literally gives an instant command to the saliva glands and to the stomach to stop digestion. So whatever food I may have ingested right now or maybe an hour or two ago will stop digestion. Enzyme flow is stopped, digestion is stopped, and the food that is in the stomach will instantly start to go bad because there's no more being digested. The intestines, whatever the food is in the intestines, the bowel movements are stopped, excretory system is told shut down. And therefore, the stomach, intestines, if they shut down, what does it lead to? Is instantly it will lead to acidity, instantly lead to loose motion, stomach cramps, and everything that is related to the stomach disorders, food disorders, is all related to stress. Eyes. Now the brain says, I must focus on this thing that is in front of me. The peripheral vision is gone. It doesn't do that. Pupils dilate. And therefore, the first thing that happens is you start getting specs. That's why or generally the specs should start at 60 and above. Or today, more and more people are getting specs at a very, very young age. Even children at age 4, 5, 6 are getting specs. Why? I mean, we're the same human being 30, 40 years ago because the stress levels are high and the eyes simply do not are so focused that the vision of the eye starts to go because it's not being used. So the brain says, why am I using it? Shut it down. And cells die over there. Eyesight goes for a 6. I start using specs at a young age of 5 and 6. Okay. Okay. And we can go again. I said saliva leads to dry mouth. Now, what happens is all these 100 trillion cells that have to be in that fight or flight mode require nutrition. Who will give the nutrition? The blood. And where is that? What is that nutrition? The blood glucose levels. So the glucose level in the blood will spike. Now, glucose on its own, the cell cannot use because even though the glucose is there in my the sugar, that is glucose is converted to sugar, is running in my blood. To take in that blood, I need something called as insulin. Now, insulin is nothing else but like an identity card. So the bloods, every cell will check, is there insulin? Insulin gives it, say, okay, this is your food, take it. And the cell will take the food so it can perform to its best ability. If insulin is there or not there, that will create its own problems. And therefore, insulin energy spikes. Now, just imagine, now we are supposed to have the insulin must be secreted at a particular level. But because there are various inputs coming in every time there is a stress situation, which I perceive as stress, the insulin will spike. And in a day, I'm getting spikes of insulin. I'm bound to get diabetes. Well, it is well known that diabetes is not a genetic disorder. Diabetes is 100% stress related. Yes, if a child gets diabetes below the age of 12, that could be have a genetic issue. That is type 1 diabetes. But if you've got diabetes after 12 and 14, then 99% chances that it is a stress problem and not a genetic problem. So again, that's a dangerous thing again. Now, the brain says, I don't require to have a wonderful skin, glowing skin. So what does it do? It restricts the blood supply to my skin and a person becomes pale. So you all know that when somebody is very stressed out, he doesn't have a glowing complexion. The skin becomes pale. You get dark circles under the eyes. That's a first indication of a stressful situation, that the person is undergoing stress because the blood is constricted. Now, because Again, there is massive amount of activity happening as a result of this stressful trigger. The dog, the cockroach, the rat, the mice, the spider, the goal that is coming, the driving situation. Blood is flowing left, right, center. Cells are working left, right, center. What happens? Temperature goes up. And how do you release, body releases temperature? Through perspiration, trembling. So the temperature rises, perspiration starts to go up. Muscles become tense because they do either fight or run. So muscles, so you get whole tension in the body. Now all this, top it all, your immune system is suppressed instantly. Immunity is brought down because the brain says, I need to survive this dog. I don't want to worry about the bacteria or the virus. That's my least problem. My first problem is this dog which is coming. My first problem is this target which is coming. My first problem is this spider. My first problem is a lizard. Forget the bacteria and the virus. Immune system is suppressed instantly. And if this is what I'm going to go, this entire thing is going to happen to me every day, multiple times, morning, afternoon, evening, from time I get up till I go to sleep. If the situation is always so demanding at every time, I am going to, let's just imagine what's happening to my body. It's going to be a diseased body. I can never be happy. My body can never be happy. I'm always going to be in a state of stress. And then when this is happening, then that leads to multiple problems, which right from headache, right from body ache to pain, to spondylitis, to back problems, to stomach problems, to cramps. Oh, the list is endless. As I say, 90% of diseases are stress-related diseases. That is so important that we learn to handle stress. Now, how to be stress-free? That is very, very important. Because so far we've seen that, okay, let me just close this. So far we've seen that stress is dangerous. Stress happens because of what? Because of the situation that is outside, the trigger that is there. It leads to an instant reaction in the body, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is more powerful, so it just simply takes action. It leads to release of cortisol, norepinephrine. Both these lead to multiple problems in the body. Every organ starts to malfunction. If I have prolonged duration of stress, if I have years and years of stress which is accumulating in the body for 10 years, 20 years, at some stage the body gives up. And that leads to right from diabetes to heart problems to cholesterol to stroke. And oh, this again, like I said, is endless. I must learn to handle it. Because if I don't learn to handle it, I am going to have a trouble. So what does one do? Okay, how do you handle stress? One second, let me just close this presentation which is running now. Yeah. So now let me come to the last part, which is what do I do to handle stress? Now, there's not one way to handle stress. There are multiple methods you're going to do. It's a holistic package which one has to do in our lives to handle stress. The first one is I'm going to make a statement here, which is very simple statement that life is full of choices and I decide which choice to make, which means that every situation has, you can respond, react multiple ways. It is your choice how to respond. That means if there's a dog, which is, or a lizard or a rat, do I scream or do I say, so what? It's okay. Trust me, you have a choice. Which choice and why you don't exercise that choice is a different story, right? But you have a choice of what response to give in that situation. Any situation, irrespective, in every situation, you have a choice of how you to react. And that leads to a simple formula called S plus R is equal to O, where S is the situation. Right? Now, the situation is generally beyond your control. You cannot do anything about the situation. As simple as that. Of course, one of the best ways to handle stress is remove the situation. Let's say tomorrow morning you get up and you see the paper saying that COVID has disappeared overnight. Something happened, some rays from the sun came and this COVID coronavirus has disappeared and we are back to normal. The stress will disappear like this. In one instant, you go, zoop, stress is gone. Absolutely gone. So first method of handling stress is handle the situation, change the situation. Let's say somebody said a dog, right? If the dog is removed from the situation, stress will vanish in an instant. As a teacher, you have the, let's say, as a teacher, I have intense dislike for this online method of teaching. Let's assume that for a moment. I hope none of you have that, but let's assume that. And tomorrow they say, okay, the government may say, okay, the corona is gone, school can restart again tomorrow onwards. You'll be in a happy-go-lucky mood. You'll say, yeah, that is life. Oh, let's go back to school and all that stuff. Stress gone. So changing the situation is one method of handling stress. But that's easier said than done, because stress handling the situation is a very complicated stuff, very complex, and there are always many other people who are involved in it. You need their permission also. So it is not easy. It is very easy to say handle a situation, change a situation. Easier said than done. You can't do that. But what you can then do is handle your own self. Now that is where the entire stress situation handling starts. What do I do so that I can handle myself? That means the situation can be anything. Like I said, kitna bhi barish ho, thand ho, dhoop ho, I should be happy. Can I train my brain, my body to respond in that? And this is where I'm coming to. That means in every situation, you have a choice of what reaction, not reaction. The word is response. Now, reaction is subconscious. Response is conscious. Remember what I said? The conscious mind can analyze the situation. Is this good, bad, ugly? Is this dog a good dog? Can I play with this dog? Or is it a lovely dog? Like a soft toy? The conscious brain can do that analysis. The subconscious brain cannot do the analysis. Subconscious brain, this dog is, any dog is bad, run. Now the conscious mind has to now override the subconscious mind. Only then can stress come down, because the subconscious mind is releasing cortisol. The conscious mind has to stop the release of cortisol. And therefore, this it's a simple equation. It's called as S plus R is equal to O, where S is the situation beyond my control. R is my reaction, no, not reaction, my response to the situation. That's under whose control? My control. Because based on that response is going to be O, which is the outcome. So in any situation, it is up to me how I respond. Like I said, easier said than done, but it can be done. Once you know the techniques, you can do it. So rule one is take responsibility for the choices that you make, especially when the choices go wrong, because choices will go wrong. So I'm going a little bit fast here. We don't have too much time. So the thing is, basically, that means no blame game. Whatever happens, you say, okay, my mistake, no blame game. I learned a big mistake from this, and let's move on. That is one thing. Response is a conscious thing, and reaction is a subconscious thing, right? Now, so how do you now train the brain to, again, like I said, not to release cortisol, not to release norepinephrine, but at the same time, we should release dopamine, we should release adrenaline, we should release serotonin, we should release oxytocin, we should release melatonin, we should release endorphins. All these other chemicals we should release. And there's one more chemical, anandamide. We should release all that. First is take responsibility for the choices that you make, no blame game. How do you do that? And I come to that in the last 5 minutes of thing. How do you ingrain that in your brain? Second simple method is press the pause button. Now, what is the pause button? I'm sure you have experienced that when somebody gets very angry, somebody is very angry or very fearful. What is the first instinctive reaction to tell that person? Take a deep breath. And as that person takes a deep breath a couple of times, the anger or the fear or whatever stress the stress levels come down to some extent. But what is happening? When you do take deep breaths, like I said, the subconscious mind is acting instantly. The conscious mind needs time to talk to the subconscious brain. We don't give it time because the subconscious mind simply takes charge and we react. The conscious brain has to talk. When you're taking a deep breath, you're not taking any action. You're just simply taking a deep breath. Your huge blood is going to the brain, oxygen going to the brain. The brain has got phenomenal power to do a lot of combinations. The brain is okay, need not run, need not fight. We can handle the situation. It's not so bad. Koi, jada problem nahi hua hai. We can handle it. And your stress level will come down. The cortisol will be stopped. The norepinephrine will be stopped release. Other chemicals will start getting released. And now the probability of you able to handle the situation goes up that much more. The second one is press the pause button. Wait, don't react, respond. Think. सोचो क्या करना है, भागना है, लड़ना है या हैंडल कर सकते हो. You'll find you get the answer straight away. Now, but these again, both these are already late. That means cortisol is released, norepinephrine. Now you're trying to control the situation. How do I ensure you don't release it? Best method is called as meditation. Now, I have done a lot of experiences with meditation, right from various like Shambhavi Mahamudra of Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. There is the Sudarshan Kriya of Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. There is Chinmaya Mission. There is Patanjali. There is various methods. In Patanjali Yoga Shastra, there are some 80 different forms of meditation. I would say choose the one which you are most comfortable with, which you like. The one which I found most simplest and easiest is called as sensory meditation, which is meditation of the senses. Now, what happens is the brain is constantly going, there are about 60,000 thoughts which come into the mind. Of these 60,000 thoughts which are coming, every thought is interpreted and that becomes your emotional thoughts and they release the chemicals. Right? So the thoughts releasing chemicals. Chemicals are what? Hormones, which we said good hormones, bad hormones. We want happy thoughts. But are our thoughts always happy? So if you analyze your thoughts, they're either always of the past. That means they're memories of the past, which many a times could be painful memories, or it's about the future, which is imagination. And that means the thought simply goes from back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. How often are your thoughts right only in the present now? Because the power lies in the present moment, in the now. That's where you can, if you say, I need action now, you can release massive amount of adrenaline now and all the other chemicals that we need. And you can say, that don't want to. But it's never. Our mind keeps going left, aage piche. It's always going to be in the stressed out part. How do I train the mind to be in the present is through meditation. Ideally do it for anything from 10 minutes to half an hour, depending on what time you have got. Meditation is very, very important because then you are able to train your conscious mind to take action and not just your subconscious. If it's only a subconscious mind, you're going to be reactive, release cortisol or epinephrine. You'll be in stress always. Right. I'll not go into the meditation part. It'll take too much time. Again, a separate session by itself. But so let's last 2 minutes and then we can go to question answer session. If you have a holistic approach to avoiding stress, now we've seen what all, we've seen what causes stress, that the triggers, external situation causes stress, how I instantly respond, that's my subconscious mind, and there's a conscious mind. How do I train my conscious mind that I should release adrenaline, dopamine, all those positive chemicals and not release cortisol, norepinephrine? Methods are, if I can do that, I will not, as long as I can stop cortisol, norepinephrine, I will not be stressed. I'll be a happy body. I'll be a fantastic body. I'll have no problems in my life. I'll not even have a headache ever. Itna bhi barish ho, dhoop ho, thando, no headache, no migraines, nothing. All is disappeared. How do you do it? The holistic method. One is the physical, mental, and emotional fitness. Very, very, very crucial. How do you get these three things? Physical fitness is simple through exercise. Now, exercise also has to have three components. There should be flexibility, it has to have strength, it should have stamina. Flexibility, typically you'll get through yoga, typically. Strength, you get through a gym. Stamina, you get through sports. So you have a combination of all three, mix and match in the day. So you do yoga, gym, sports, depending on how you schedule it. Now, like we said, there is a whole, again, physics and science behind pranayama. You need to do, pranayama is one of the best exercises. Now, pranayama is a holistic exercise. It is not just an exercise for your lungs. It is not just about deep breathing. That's all. That's not pranayama. Pranayama is, I'm not again going to, keeping it short and brief. Patanjali has, Ramdev Baba has made it very popular. There's three simple pranayama which one can do: Basrika, Kapalbhati, and Anulom Vilom. Do it. Hobbies. Very, 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 I can go on with berries. Important to have hobbies. Preferably active hobbies, but if not active hobbies, then even silent hobbies. My personal opinion, you may disagree with it, that's okay. Reading a book, I feel, is not a hobby. Okay. Cooking is a very good hobby. Singing is a very good hobby. These are active hobbies. Dancing, fantastic. Sports, phenomenal. Outdoor sports, excellent. Playing cards is not a hobby. Playing carom, I won't call it as a hobby. It's a good sport, no doubt, but it doesn't have. Hobbies are something which requires your brain, body, and your physical body. Everything is required. All the three must be in sync, going on. Zuk, 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 zuk. That's a good hobby to have. So have some hobbies. Okay. Meditation, very important. Meditation is where you train to breathe deeply. See, if we are breathing very, very shallow. If you calculate your breaths, you're breathing about 15 times a minute. That's too fast. We should train the body to brain only 4 times a minute. 15 seconds, one breath. Fight out. That's how you train. That means when you do 15 seconds one breath, you're getting massive amount of oxygen to the brain and to the 100 trillion cells. You are going to be super. Okay, then there's gratitude meditation. Now, what is gratitude meditation? Gratitude meditation is nothing like, remember I said earlier that I'll tell you about the gratitude part of it. That is, how do you learn to let go? When you go to sleep, before you go to sleep, just simply say thank you to every person who came in, spoke to him on the phone, through online, through physical meeting, through actual conversation. Just say thank you to every person who came in. Just say thank you to every person who came in. You're going to be stressed out. Not today. After 10 years, it will catch up with you. And that's too late. After 10 years, you say, okay, I'll sleep after 10 years. So you need to sleep every day for 7 to 8 hours. The diet preferably should be a vegetarian diet, low sugar diet, avoid fatty foods, preferably. Once in a while, once a week or once a fortnight, you have something fantastic. Okay, go for it. I'm not, but every day if you're having it, be careful. No alcohol, drugs, smoking, tobacco. Avoid excess caffeine. Another important thing is to have me time. Me time means a few minutes of absolute stillness. Do nothing. Chill. Become a couch potato without the TV, without the mobile. So let's say you have 15 minutes of me time for yourself. Because you're doing nothing. No mobile. Mobile is kept in silent mode. It's on the room. No looking at WhatsApp. No looking at anything. No looking at YouTube videos. Nothing. Nothing. Just doing chill. Nothing. कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं. Somebody asks you क्या कर रहा है? कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ. बस ऐश कर रहा हूँ. आराम कर रहा हूँ. We need that me time. Okay. So these are some of the things. Now, these are not alone enough to handle stress, because this alone is not able to handle the stress caused by two other things which we talked of, is fears and limiting beliefs. For that you need a totally different approach, which unfortunately I don't have the time to give you, but every fear can be removed from the body, from the brain. Every limiting belief can be transformed into a compelling positive belief saying, yes, I can do it. You can change your background voices to say, yes, I can do it. If that's my background, nothing can then stop you. You can never get stressed. I mean, it's like a marathon runner. I mean, he or she gets up in the morning at 4 o'clock and goes for a 45-kilometer run. For some person, that's the worst stressful thing you can ever do. And for many who do it, it's passion. They enjoy it. And they say, wow, unless I get up at 4 and go in the morning, life is not great. I have to go in the morning for a go. Why? Because they got these other chemicals, which is adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, melatonin, endorphin running through their cells, through their bodies. They don't have cortisol and norepinephrine. So I hope this has been useful, because it's almost 6 o'clock. I'm going to overshoot my time totally. But definitely, if there are any questions, I will gladly do my best to answer any question that you might have. Hopefully, there are some. So thank you very, very much. Thank you, Renu Madam, for giving me the opportunity. I hope I've been able to throw some light on this stress management.
Yes, sir.
So maybe
it was very
either you can
informative.
type your questions in the chat box or thing.
They can unmute also.
So if anybody has any questions, please.
You all can unmute and ask the questions. And I know you must be having hundreds of questions. I can see two students and two teachers have Yes, Dipti ma'am. You have a question. You have raised your hand. And Shyam Giri sir. Yes, Dipti ma'am. What's your question? You can unmute yourself. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Ma'am, you can
anybody, any
unmute.
question?
Hello,
Huh.
Renu ma'am.
Yes. You can
Yeah,
ask the
Dipti
questions.
here. Yeah, may I ask the question?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, good evening, sir. Your session is really very wonderful and really feeling very nice to have so many options as stress busters. So my question is very common. Most of us face this situation at home and sometimes at workplace and with the people around us. When we want to say yes, we end up saying no. And when we want to say no, we end up saying yes. So dealing with this kind of situation, actually, it's difficult to face at home as compared to the strangers. So how can we deal with this kind of a situation? And another is like, Renu ma'am, this is for you. The thing is that sometimes we have same equally important webinars to attend and wherein we don't have option of, watching it later. So how to deal with this situation? Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. I'll send you the
Yeah.
YouTube link. That is the cause of stress.
Yeah, that causes stress when we have equally important webinars.
Okay, I'll send the
Okay.
YouTube link.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Yes,
the
sir.
question is about how to learn to say no. Remember, like I said, like you always have a choice. Comes again
Sir.
through deep breathing, meditation gives you that power in the mind to say, okay, this situation I have to say, I have to be firm. First time it's difficult. This will go duck, 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 duck. How do I say no? How do I say no? You say no, saying no. Brain learns. Saying if this situation is causing stress, I need to handle the situation. I must be firm. I must be assertive. So and you're a teacher, so you know how to modulate your voice. So you can say, okay, sorry, this is not acceptable. I do not accept it. Rather than saying, I don't accept it and it's not, and you have a fight. So you can just say, sorry, not acceptable. Is there anything else we're going to do? Keep your voice off. You can learn this. Okay. And trust me, it will work wonders. Meditation, very important for this. Yeah. Any other question?
I feel Shyam Giri sir, you have a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sir, I'm very thankful for this your great session, sir. I live in rural area at Latur, sir, and I'm very happy to know your activities, sir. Sir, my question is that what is the role of medicine to stop stress? And please tell me about what is the role of reading to stop stress? Okay, sir.
What is the second one? Role of reading?
The role of reading to stop the stress.
Okay, role of reading. Okay. So first one, what is the role of medicines to stop stress? Uh, Typical medicines, one is what we generally know of as allopathy and Ayurveda. Allopathy deals directly with your hormones or with the chemicals. So if somebody is in extreme stress, yes, definitely allopathy helps that person uh, reduce, for example, depression. There are definitely allopathy has got medicines which can bring down your depression levels, etc., etc. And it's got, so all are important, but I would say allopathy only works on the chemicals and there are too many side effects. So there is no one pill that gives you everything relief. On the other hand, there are many stressful situations, many mental situations which allopathy has got no answers to, but Ayurveda might have an answer. There are many other alternative healing techniques. You heard of Reiki, you heard of probably hypnosis, you heard of NLP, that is neuro linguistic programming. Now, all those have phenomenal impact on which Ayurveda can simply has no answers. So I would say there's no one answer fits all. Depending on the situation, you might require allopathic, especially in extremes. You might. I mean, I'll give you an example. I had one boy. The parents brought that boy. The boy was just 12 years of age, and he was very afraid of death. Now, that boy was afraid of death. I mean, so much so that it started affecting him every day, and he started predicting that on my birthday I'm going to die. That was creating chaos in the house because the boy would insist, no, मेरे birthday के मैं मरने वाला हूँ. And everywhere he would start saying death, कि इधर मृत्यु है, वहाँ मृत्यु है. Now, and the conventional allopathy had only one answer: give him sedatives to keep him alive. So they came to me, and there are various techniques which I don't have the time to go through just now, by which you can literally, what you have to do basically is the mindset in the brain has to be changed, altered. So if the response to a particular situation is so-and-so, you have to change the response in the inside. It took me about 3 sessions to do that, and the boy was perfectly normal. So every answer does not have allopathy, and everything is not. So I think we have to go, balance has to be maintained for that. What is the role of reading? See, reading is giving you only information to your conscious mind. It is difficult to transfer unless you're able to, unless you know the techniques. So how do you transfer this conscious thing that you're reading to the subconscious mind? It will have minimal impact. Again, to give an example of the dog thing that we're doing, or the cockroach thing, I can give you a book which will give you a lot of information as to why cockroaches are good or a dog is good. And I say, please read this. Will the fear of a dog disappear? No way. The moment a dog comes in, will say, "Pehle kutte ko bandh ke rakho." So giving a talk to that person or reading a book has minimal impact unless you know the technique of how do I transfer this conscious thing that I'm learning to the subconscious. And that requires a little bit of practice and the other things which I talked about. You know, there's alternative healing techniques which are there, which then work wonders. So I hope that answers the question.
Sir, there's one question from Satish Thakre. Sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Satish, sir. You have questions in the chat box also. Satish, sir. Okay, there's a question in the chat box.
Yeah. Which one?
Can we transfer stress positively?
Okay, can we transfer stress positively? So what does exactly mean?
Yogita ma'am.
Can I transfer my passion? Yes, I can.
Hello.
So you can transfer your passion because if you are passionate and you can transfer it to somebody
Hello,
else.
she's there.
Hello, good
Yes,
evening,
Yogita
one
ma'am.
and all. Sir, it was a fantastic session. Thank you very much. Renu ma'am, thanks a lot for giving us such a good opportunity to listen all these dignitaries. So my question is, because of stress, there are many negative impact on ourselves. Can we transfer this stress positively? Can we use it positively?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's some
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that question. I was.
Yogita ma'am, can you repeat the questions?
Sorry, say it again, please. Yeah, hello.
Yogita ma'am. her question was how can we transform this stress positively? Like if the stress is there, how it can be transformed?
Yeah, so you cannot transfer stress positively. You can transfer your passion positively, but stress is a negative according to me, and therefore it's best not to transfer. You must handle your stress yourself. Best not to environments, because yes, there are many ladies here, and frankly, ladies they go through amazing. Oh, that's wrong word. They go to huge amount of stressful situation. They got to handle the professional front and the family front. It is not, I know, and yes, so you must learn all these techniques and do it so that you don't transfer your stress to your children, to your spouses. So you can't transfer stress positively. Yes,
This
they
is
do call it
one
eustress, but I have a different opinion. Yeah, there's Vaibhav Barbog says positive stress called eustress. Yeah, but I have a different opinion on that. So maybe we can take it up offline. There is, according to me, I could be definitely wrong. It is passion and that motivation and that ability that is transferred. If there's anything you're doing because there's a negative follow of that, that is not eustress according to me. But I could be wrong. Yes.
There's one person named by honor phone. He has not named himself. So can we have a question from him? He's raised his hand. Him or her.
Yeah, on our phone. Yes, please.
I have given the permission to unmute.
Unmute.
So I have given you the permission. You can unmute from your end, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Good evening. Do you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Good
Can
evening.
you tell me your
Thank you,
name
sir.
and the place you're from, ma'am?
Yes, it's me, Iman from Egypt. Thank you for your session. It's a really grateful one. Thank you very much. And I have a question. Is there any relationship between burnout, internal burnout for teacher and stress? They are synonym, for example, or there is no relation between them?
Okay, the question is there a relationship between burnout?
Yes,
the question?
burnout for
Yes.
concerning teachers and stress
Yes.
Thank
Burnout
you.
is
Thank you very
definitely
much.
related to stress, but at the same time, there are lots of other connotations of burnout, because a person who's also very passionate about doing something can also get burnt out. There's a different. So how do you ensure you don't get burnt out? Like I said, the best method to do that is your meditation. Meditation is, there are a lot of scientific studies done on meditation being done even today, and it is well proven that it can holistically uplift our entire mental faculties, physical faculties, and emotional faculties to continue taking on any situation that keeps arising. But yes, burnout and stress is definitely related. A person who's stressed out will reach burnout far, far earlier than a person who's not stressed. So I would recommend meditation is one of the best methods.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you have any questions? Any more questions?
Okay, well, one question is, how can children handle stress?
This one question was there.
Okay, that is very, very important, because children today, I think, are definitely very, very stressed out. And the reason why children get stressed out is because so fast, or they also don't get stressed out so fast, is because children, especially till the age of 8, do not have their conscious brains developed yet. Children live in a subconscious environment. They are absolutely subconscious. Therefore, whatever a child at the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they will take as gospel truth. But then at some stage, their brain gets overwhelmed with so much of input that are coming in, especially when they are required to respond with a conscious mind. Children do not have the ability to handle things in a conscious way, and parents or the environment is forcing them to handle handle things in a conscious way. Their conscious brains are simply not developed. And the more you force them to handle things in a conscious thinking, that child is, I'm empowering the child. It is leading nothing else but to stress on the child. So the children cannot handle stress. I mean, cannot handle conscious thinking. Till about 8. 8 to 12 is the transition phase. Now the conscious brain of the child is getting developed. But again, everything determines how much of pressure are you putting on the child to handle it. Therefore, they need guidance much more than an adult. And so I hope that answers the question. The more conscious decision-making process you put on the child, the more stressful that child is going to become. Yeah. Any other, or are we done?
Any other question?
Right. So I hope it's been useful. I hope it's been has some. Hopefully, you got some.
It was very useful. Really. Now we can cope up with stress. We know we have to calm ourselves first. We have to tell that nothing is there. There's no fear, and calm ourselves at that situation, and then try to handle it. Then we'll be able to do it. So this is one thing that I've learned, and I'll practice meditation. The 3 pranayam that you have mentioned, that I'll practice. So thank you, sir. I request.
Okay, Renu ma'am, can I have
Yes,
Mrs.
sir,
1 minute
pose.
more?
You can have 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. No, 1 minute. Only 1 minute. Let me give you a most simplest method of handling stress. You cannot get it more simpler than this. Okay. And there is a whole lot of background and research and scientific information available on this. So I'll cut out all that. 30 seconds only. I call it as 10 seconds of stupidity. That's it. That is a magic mantra for handling stress. And to give you an example, I would request all of you, I cannot see you, nobody can see you, so you all are on your own, in your own rooms, in your own houses, wherever you are. Just go for it and do what I do. Okay, for 10 seconds only. Like I said, it's called as 10 seconds of stupidity. So whenever you are under tension, or especially the moment you get up first thing in the morning, subah utte hi, do what? 10 seconds of stupidity in your bed only. Utte hi karne ka. Do it. Just do it. Try it out. कहने में क्या हर्ज है? I cannot see you, nobody can see you. अपने आप करो and just write down your answer. How do you feel? How many of you feel angry? How many of you feel how many of you feel sad? Now, I want you to try it out, okay? Experiment it in your own bathroom or in your room. कि यार मुझे कुछ बुरा सोचने का है अभी. I want some bad thought in my mind. You will not get a bad thought in your mind. It is so powerful. This is the quickest method of handling stress. कितना भी बारिश हो, धूप हो, ठंड हो, 10 seconds of stupidity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was our tip of the day. We are going to practice from tomorrow onwards. So I request Deepika ma'am, to propose a vote of thanks. Unmute. I have to unmute. Deepika ma'am, unmute yourself. Given permission.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of members of MNET, I would like to thank Commander Girish Konkar sir for volunteering his time and providing us with such an informative and engaging presentation on de-stress from stress. The topic explained by you will be immense helpful for our teachers, not only teachers, all human beings who are watching this. And the message towards the end of your this session is that 10 seconds of stupidity is a magic mantra for de-stress from stress. I would also like to appreciate the constant efforts of Mr. Nadeem Khan for providing necessary technical support to MNET. Many thanks to the host and the convener, Mrs. Renu Dhotre, for organizing the series of workshops through the platform of MNET. This series of webinar enables teachers to think about their well-being. I would like to extend our thanks to the participants from various countries for effectively participating in the various MNET webinars and workshops held till date, the spread of which is increasing with every passing workshop. We at MNET appreciate the positive feedback obtained from all the participants. We look forward to such enthusiasm from our participants in the future as well. Once again, a huge thank to everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now this is the de-stress from stress today.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepika ma'am. Thank you, sir. And thank you all the participants. I would like to tell you that this is a series. And the series has started today with de-stressing yourself. So practice what sir has already said. By the 8th of November, I feel we will be totally free with all the good thinking in your mind. And do attend all the series. This is only for your well-being that we have thought of. It was something different that we have thought for you. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nadeem sir. Thank you, Sati sir. Sati sir has helped me with a lot of work regarding the posters making and jotting down small details. So thank you, sir. And thank